In this episode, we talk about what happens when numbness fades and feelings come rushing in. It's messy, it's holy, and it's not a breakdown, it's a beginning. Listen now. Hi, I am Alice Githui, the Bounce Back Coach, and this is the Bounce Back Voice Podcast because life isn't over yet. Each week, I hold space for real, raw healing, the kind that honors your grief, your growth, and your slow return to yourself. This is your reminder. You're not too far gone. You're not too late. And yes, you're allowed to feel again. Today's episode is called You're Allowed to Feel Again because healing doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it begins with a single tear that you didn't expect. Let's dive in. No one warns you that healing can feel like breaking. We think that the hardest part is the fall, the spiral, the silence, the disconnect. But sometimes the real breaking doesn't happen at the rock bottom. It happens when you begin to feel again. Because numbness became a habit. It blurred the days, it dulled the edges, and in its own way, it felt safe. But then, a song, a scent, someone asks how you really are, and you almost answer honestly. That's when it starts. Not a flood, not a breakdown, just a flicker of something real. And that flicker, it's terrifying, it's beautiful, it's holy. It's the moment you realize the feelings are coming back. There is a kind of powerlessness that doesn't look dramatic. It looks like coping well. It looks like staying busy, but being absent from your own life. I used to call it fatigue, but it was deeper than that. It was resignation. When you have tried and failed, when your prayers feel like echoes, when hope feels reckless, you start to armor up. You don't cry, you don't rage, you just keep going. And that is not strength, that is survival. And when survival becomes your baseline, feeling again feels dangerous. Because what if it undoes you or the you that you have been faking to be? Let's pause together. Before we go deeper, I want to ask you gently. Take a breath. Really, right now. Ask yourself, is there a part of me I have shut off just to get through the day? What am I afraid to feel? You don't need to answer out loud. Just noticing is enough. I spent an entire day with someone I deeply respect, a mentor who has walked through fire and came out softer, not harder. We sat in the quiet of a hotel lounge. The view stretched into gardens so tender they almost felt sacred. And in that stillness I wondered, not out loud but inside, how does someone build so much and still carry such gentleness? We sat with life, not to fix it but to name it. We spoke honestly about what I had survived, about where I had failed, and about what I had forgotten. He reminded me of truths I didn't know I still needed to hear. My strength, my beauty, my uniqueness, my worth. That day cracked something open. At night, on the same day, I was laid bare in the most healing way. I didn't feel like doing anything. So, I started scrolling for hours, then decided to check my emails. As I went through all emails, there it was, staring at me. My late dad's eulogy. I had buried the feeling so deep, but after the shock, a deep pain struck me. The realization that I will never see him again, only in heaven, and this hit me hard. Then I made a decision to face the reality, to experience the pain as the tears rolled down my cheeks. I stared back at the photo, as if saying goodbye, and decided that instead of focusing on that photo, proof of his death, I would instead focus on the special moments we had shared with him when he was alive. Grief I hadn't touched in months peeled out. Longing I had buried under I am fine began to breathe again. I wasn't planning to break open. I was just eating takeout, and suddenly I was crying between bites of cold rice. The feelings that returned weren't tidy. They weren't in order. Some came as tears, heavy and true. Some came as anger at myself, at others, at time lost. And some came as a quiet, fragile hope, so small I almost missed it. But here is what I know now. Emotion is not weakness. Emotion isn't a setback. It's your soul whispering, I am still here. In my book, Bounce Back Life is Not Over Yet, I wrote about this as one of the chapters. Let crushing run its course. There is a sacredness in letting yourself unravel without immediately rebuilding. No shortcuts, no tidy answers, just presence. That's what came when the feeling returned. Not closure, not clarity, but an invitation to stay. To sit with the discomfort, the memory, the parts of me I thought I had silenced forever. Even now, I don't always know what to do with all of it, but I no longer believe I have to escape it. Because that ache, that emotion, it's proof that I'm still here, still soft enough to care, still alive enough to feel. There is a rhythm to life that we don't control. And when the thou comes, When your heart starts to feel again, it's not a glitch, it's not a failure, it's alignment. Maybe grace doesn't show up loud. Maybe it begins in a tear you didn't expect. Maybe you're not being undone. Maybe you're just being reformed. Like the writer of Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1 to 8 said, there is time for everything. Time to be born, time to die. There is time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. If this is your time to feel, let it be tender and true. Don't rush the mending. Don't despise the process. God works even in the quiet spaces where broken things begin to breathe again. You're not too sensitive. You're not behind. You're not broken for breaking open. You're thawing. Can I offer you something? Today, when a feeling comes in form of anger, sadness, instead of judging it or pushing it away, pause and say to yourself, I am allowed to feel this. This isn't wrong. This is real. This is part of coming back. Coming back to yourself doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like undoing, like everything is raw again. Let me say this clearly. You're not going backwards. You're not too weak for feeling. You're not broken because you still cry. This isn't failure. It's resurrection. You're thawing. You're responding. You're returning. And I believe in that version of you, the one brave enough to stay present, even here. Maybe it doesn't look like fireworks, but it is healing. It is slow, sacred glow of your soul remembering how to feel. If this episode spoke to you, I would love for you to share it with someone who is slowly feeling again. Leave a review because your words help others find hope. You can also journal your own return moments, the time you knew you weren't numb anymore. And if there is something personal you would like to share, a moment, a whisper, a prayer, you can send me a message. You are not alone. Next week is our season finale. Becoming whole, not perfect. Because perfection is a lie. Wholeness is possible and you're closer than you think. This is the Bounce Back Voice podcast and I'm Alice Githui, reminding you that life is not over yet and you're allowed to feel again. So let yourself feel.